Hello guitar people, Andrew here from Harmony Music Center, and this video is about how to know the notes on the fingerboard. Very important as you're learning to play guitar, eventually to get around to knowing all the notes on the fingerboard. So, a little bit of music theory. In music, Western music, there are half steps and whole steps. And a half step, if we play the open low E string, a half step from there is the next fret up. And if we go from there to, if we take a whole step from there, we're going to skip a fret. So on guitar, if we play one note and then we play the note on the same string on the very next fret, that's a half step. If we skip over a fret, then it's a whole step. And in Western music, there are whole steps between every note except for B to C and E to F. So let's look at that. On the top string, the low E string, we start out with E, it's the E string. We go a half step to the next fret, which is the first fret, which is F. Then we're going to make a whole step from F, skipping over a fret and going to G. And then from G to A is a whole step, so we go to the fifth fret, that's A. A to B is a whole step to the seventh fret. Now remember, it's a half step from B to C. So from B at the seventh fret to C is just one fret to the eighth fret. And then C to D is a whole step, so we go from 8 to 10, that's D. And D to E is a whole step, 10 to 12. And then if we kept going, we would go E to F, just one fret, that's a half step. So that's the low E string, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and back to E. And because that's the low E string, it's also the high E string. The A string is the fifth string, and now we're going to go A to B is a whole step to the second fret. We know that B to C is a half step, so second to third is C, and then C to D is a whole step, 3 to 5. To 7 is E, and then just a half step, 7 to 8 is F, 8 to 10 is G, and a whole step from 10 to 12, we're back at A again. Now here's a little trick. It's important to memorize those two strings, and once you memorize the top string, you've memorized the bottom string as well. Then if you want to know the notes on the fourth string, one easy trick is that any note we play on the top string, if we play the third fret on the top string, if we go to the fourth string, the D string, 2 frets higher, it's an octave, which means it's the same note 1 octave higher. So listen to this. The third fret on the sixth string is G. The fifth fret on the fourth string is also G. And we can do that. So if, let's say that you wonder, you're on the fourth string at the 10th fret, what note is that? Well, I can go up to the sixth string, 2 frets lower, and that happens to be a C note. So I know that that note on the fourth, the 10th fret on the fourth string is also a C. So that way you can figure out any note on the fourth string by going up to the sixth string, 2 frets lower. The same applies to the third string. Let's say that I want it on the third string, 7th fret. If I go up to the 5th string and then 2 frets lower, it's an octave. And therefore, because I know that that happens to be a D on the 5th string, I know that the 7th fret of the third string is also a D. So that is a little trick to knowing what the notes on the third and fourth strings are. And that helps you know the 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd strings Now we can also do that on the second string. But the octave on the first and second string is now 2 frets away. So if I go on the second string, let's say at the 8th fret, if I go to the 4th string and I go 1, 2, 3 frets down to the 5th fret, now that's a G note. And on the second string, it's going to be a G note. And I know that this on the 4th string is a G note because I could do the octave on the 6th string. So that gives you a way to figure out the notes. Ultimately, it's good to memorize the notes over time, but that's a little bit of a trick. You should definitely work on memorizing the notes on the 1st string, 5th string, and 6th string. And one of the main reasons for that is all of the bar chords based on the 5th and 6th strings. Like if I play this bar chord, I need to know that this 6th string 3rd fret is a G because that tells me that's a G chord. Or if I moved it up to here, I need to know this is a C note, so I know that that's a C chord. Or, in addition to the chords, we have scales. If I'm going to start the pentatonic scale on the 7th fret, minor pentatonic scale, to know what scale that is, I need to know that this is a B note. So it's really important to memorize the 6th string, and we also have the bar chords that start on the 5th string, like this one. And that's the minor form that's based on the A minor. But if I move it up here to the 5th fret on the 5th string, I need to know that that is a D note, so that it tells me that that's a D minor. So this is something to work on over time. Enjoy, and I'll see you soon.